Oh, hi there. If you are looking for some color in your life, then you have come to the right place. Hey, what's up guys? My name is Emmanuel King, filmmaker and photographer based in Nigeria, and today we're going to be looking at an interesting topic which we started in the previous part, and that is color grading with LUTs. Today we're going to be looking at practical approaches to which we could use to color grading our footage in Premiere Pro. We're going to be using very simple techniques, and we're going to learn a bit about color correction, color grading, and applying a creative look to our footage. Let's head on to the software and see how this works. Now I'm in Premiere Pro. The first thing I'm going to talk about is setting up your workspace. The first thing you're going to do is put your workspace in the color workspace, because this is the same workspace I'm going to be working in, so it's going to be easier for you to follow along. So what we're going to do, we're going to go right up here to window, we're going to go to workspaces, and we're going to select color. A quick way to do this is to hold Shift, Option and 5. If you're on a Windows, it's Shift Alt 5, and if we do that, that already takes us to the workspace we are in. Make sure that your lumetri scopes are checked. You could also check your windows and then click on lumetri scopes and make sure that lumetri scope is checked. Now we're going to right click and make sure that Vectroscope YUV and Vectroscope RGB is checked. Hey, Future King here. In case you have no idea how the waveform works, I'm going to give you a quick crash course. So we have our Vectroscope. Our Vectroscope tells us about the color information in our image. If the Vectroscope is sitting towards a bias of any of the colors on the Vectroscope, that tells us that either our white balance is wrong, or one color is too saturated, or there is a color cast when it moves in either of the directions. Now the other is our I.R.E waveform. I.R.E stands for Institute of Radio Engineers. This is the waveform that gives us information about the luminance of our various color channels. Our standard sRGB color space has 3 color channels, which are red, green and blue. Now these 3 combine and they add to form our neutral waveform. It reads our image from left to right, meaning that our image is represented by what is in our scope. From 0 to 30, you could call that your shadow to black region. From 30 to 70 I.R.E, you could call that your midtones. And from 70 to 90, you could call that your highlight. And from 90 to 100, you could call that your critical highlight or white point. Let's get back to the video. Let's create a new adjustment layer. To create a new adjustment layer, make sure you are on the project panel, and we could do that by holding Shift 1. That takes us to our project panel, and we're going to create a new adjustment layer. Now you can see I've already created so many adjustment layers, but just to let you know how to do it yourself, we'll click on this paper right here that says adjustment layer, and we're going to click adjustment layer. This is the same size with our composition, and we're going to click OK. Now I'm dragging my adjustment layer to our timeline. We could close this up because we don't need this. And what we're going to do is we're going to be applying our color correction and effects to all these layers. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold Option or Alt, and I'm going to drag to duplicate my adjustment layer. So that way I have one adjustment layer for color correction and one adjustment layer for color grading. Start making cuts so that the adjustment layers don't affect any portion other than the region of our footage. But I'm going to just make some cuts here according to the camera models. So right now I'm aware of all the color spaces that are in our timelines for our footages. For instance, this footage was shot in C-Log 2. So let's click on our first adjustment layer. Let's do our first conversion, and in few clicks we're going to take this image from our log profile to our X709 color space. So let's go to our LUTs, and I have my LUTs folder here, and this is going from Canon Cinema Gamut Log 2 to BT709. So what this means is, this is cinema gamma, so that's telling you about the color information, and log 2 is telling you about the gamma, and it's going to take it to BT709, that's the color space, and the gamma is wide dynamic range 65. Boom, you see that, like in just one click we have taken our footage from the log profile to RX709. Now the link to all the LUTs I'm going to be using in this video are in the description in case you are interested in using any of those. I would like to create another lumetri effect right above this one, and I'm going to probably bring down the highlights here, open up the shadows just so that the image breathes. Perhaps I'll just drop the contrast a bit. Let's see that before and after. You see, it's just to take off that harshness just a little bit. With that works for me, and you could see even Vectroscope is quite happy with what we've just done, because now I've taken the hardness of that image. That works for me for now. Let's check the next shot. This is also shot on the same camera and from the same scene. Apparently it's like some sort of proposal. What we're going to do, let's head to our color wheels and match, and I can't help but shake off like a bluish tint here, so I just want to add just a tad warmth to it, and yeah, something like that seems very fair. You could see how subtle I went with that, but it's doing a lot. Now I think these guys are coming in too strong, so I would like to desaturate some of the red. Now we could just use the eyedropper tool and select which of the reds, but I just want to generally bring down the red saturation, and I'm sure you could see as I pull it down, you could see how it's reflecting on the Vectroscope. So you could see as I've taken just a little of that edge off, and I'm cool with that. Let's move to the next shot. So this is in S-Log2. So again, we go to the input LUT, and I'm going to put my color correction. This is S-Log2 IT709 to Rec 709. So this footage was in S-Log2, but the color space was in Rec 709. You could see that this image is a bit slightly just overexposed. That's because the image was exposed to the right just before it starts clipping. Just before the correction is hitting the LUT, I'm clicking on my footage, and I'm just gonna pull back the exposure until it's sitting somewhere I like. And yeah, you could see, you could just preview that before and after, and yeah, the exposure is sitting at a good place. And let's go after the LUT, and let's just do our basic corrections. So I want to crush some of that shadow, maybe bring the black down, not necessarily the blacks. Let's just go to our color wheels and match, pull down our shadows a bit until they are like touching that R0 mark, or just barely, you know, just meeting it, so to say. So yeah, just maybe a little bit more, and yeah, that's looking nice. So I want to probably open up the midtone so that image is breathing a lot better, and let's see where we're going with that. Yeah, something subtle like that is not quite bad. Yeah, and see, we're filling up our waveform. Probably want to bring up the highlights just a tad, but I think everything is looking nice where it is. Just maybe bring this down a bit, and you can see what we have done with our contrast adjustments. The only thing I can see is I have a little bit of problem with where the colors are sitting. So I want to go to my hue versus hue curve, and I want to, I don't know, I'm seeing that the red is not looking red, is the skin tones rather, they're not looking like skin. Everything is just kind of red. All the red is mushed. So I want to create like a bit of separation between this. Yeah, so you could see as I rotate that hue, as I move the hue away, you could see that we're having just a tad better color separation. Not too much, we just want a tad. We just want there to be some sort of separation. This is our next guy. So this guy is in Rec 709 already, so we're not really applying any conversion LUT to it. Maybe just pull down the shadows a bit. You can see the shadows are a bit lifted, so just pull those down a bit, and something like that actually works for me. I don't really think I want to do much to this footage. I'm liking where it's looking already. Let's go to the next one. And I think I'll probably, what I'll just do, I'll just copy the same adjustment from the previous one. So I'm going to click on my previous adjustment layer, go to effect controls. Effect controls, we get that by going Shift 5 and then Control C on the lumetri color adjustment, and we're going to paste. And yeah, let's look at our scopes. Yeah, that's not actually bad. It's actually quite a respectable place to be sitting, if you ask me. Now, our last footage on this timeline is in S-Log3, I believe. So let's apply our input LUT, which is going to be S-Log3. So let's check our Sony LUTs. So this is S-Log3 Gamma 3 Cine to LC709. Everyone has like different ways they call it. It's Rec 709, BT 709, ITU 709. We're all referring to the same thing. So I guess this was also exposed to the right as well. So this exposure actually favors them, but we're not really getting some of the details in the blacks anymore. So I'm going before the LUT. Let's scale back the exposure. We can scale back the exposure. So you see, we're starting to get all our detail back. So the whole point of most of these LUTs is to give you a good starting point to grade your images. Not like they're going to color grade your images for you, but most of these LUTs have been engineered by the company behind these cameras. So maybe we might actually just pull down the shadows again, and let's bring up this highlight. So right now what we're doing, we're more or less stretching this image, just stretching it out a bit. Just have to really bring those down to the floor. Yeah, so you can see it's barely touching the floor now, and we've gotten, like, let's maybe up those mid-tones so that the image is breathing a bit. Let's look at the before and after. This is before our color correction and this is after our color correction. So let's go to the one that is after the LUT. This is the one after the LUT. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'm good with that. So with that, we have finished color correcting our footage, and now the next thing we're going to do is apply a creative look. Now I want the creative look to apply to everything on the timeline. We're going to be applying a creative look to this adjustment layer, and we'll just go to our creative panel and we'll go to look and click browse. Now I have, these are I created this LUT on the fly just for the sake of this tutorial. The name of this one is called Revival. It's a free LUT, it's in the description, and you could see what that LUT is doing straight away. Like, we could see how much of the color is affecting, and I can see that it's adding a bit of warmth, and maybe it might just be like a tad too strong, so perhaps we'll just scale that back just so that it looks a little more realistic. And this has applied to, because this adjustment layer is spanning the entire range of the timeline, this has affected literally all our shots. And you can see in few seconds, we're able to take our footage from log profile to, this is just, I'm literally not even going to touch anything. Like, I'm enjoying what I'm seeing. We could go further with this according to your taste, but this is basically what I wanted to drive home. You could still go crazy with this LUT if you want. Most of the adjustments I like if you apply them before it's hitting the LUT. Let's just do something fun here. We could add like some tints in the shadows, and let's push that towards neutral. Maybe too much green. And look at what that is doing. So you could see that warmth that was in the shadow, we kind of cancel it out, and you can really see the power of this LUT. Yeah, so this is beautiful. I think I'm just gonna copy It's probably not consistent, but this is just for the sake of this tutorial so that you guys get an idea of where you could take the image after applying the LUT. I don't know, my computer is just a tad unresponsive, probably because I have so many things running at the same time, probably begging for an upgrade. Yeah, so you can see we took that red off there, and yeah, these are just simple techniques. Well, I've not done anything crazy, but I'm liking what we've done. Let's review. First, imported our footage into the timeline, set our workspace, and then we applied our color space transforms, or our input LUTs, that transformed our LUTs from their log profiles to Rec 709, and then we had the creative LUT, and with that, less than few minutes, we're able to get good colors out of our image. We could simply change out the lookup table that we apply, and it gives the images a different vibe. In case you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you thought it sucked, you could give it a thumbs down. I really put a lot of work into putting this video out, and I really enjoyed making this tutorial for you guys. So I can't wait to see you guys on the next video, to see all your smiley faces. And the next time I'm going to be talking about applying LUT in Davinci Resolve. Can't wait to see you guys on the next video.